from half court.
Doncic look like, you know what? He's one of those guys. He needs pressure, man. The playoffs seems to make him rise. He can't shoot like that, really. He's balling.
He balling. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was at a playoff game myself, my son's team, so I have to watch the replay. Who guarded Luka tonight?
They had Terrence Mann, Kawhi, Batum, and PG. Just kind of switched it. Man did probably the best job.
He had 50, almost had 50 points. He really wasn't stopped. But I heard he didn't have any help. That might have been a game plan.
Could have been, but what's his name? Bronson was hitting, and what's the other guy? Hardaway Jr. was hitting. I did share. I'm sharing that.
Okay, let me do my sharing as Karen duties. It's almost time for the sucker punch to come back. School is almost out, right?
School's almost out. So we get out on the 10th. I have such a busy schedule that week. I got to do a middle school commencement, and I got to prepare myself for that. And then do all the clearances and all that stuff. So I'm a postpone it to the next week. I'm still debating on who's gonna be my first guest. I'm thinking about letting it be my wife.
Oh,
but
man.
then it's gonna turn into her sucker punch. So
if Miss Mac is your first guest, we're gonna have to broadcast that thing. Miss Mac, all dressed in black, talking smack, talking smiggity smack on a Thursday night.
Yep.
I am not talking smack.
So I didn't figure it out the how we're gonna do the new setup. So I'm gonna try to get a guest at least every other week, and then we'll have a certain order of how we do it. So they'll get one question on politics, one question on social events, one question on sports, and then ask the host a question. We try to keep the show short and informative.
Oh, why are you so fine?
My son said my eyes look red. I feel like telling him I was getting superpowers. I'm about to be Cyclops.
I'm about to be.
Our son takes everything literally.
I'm about to be Carnage. Carnage. Let there be carnage. Can't wait.
I for that movie.
I might make that my first movie. Well, when is that coming out? Next summer? I want to make my first new movie experience to be a good one. I really want my first movie after COVID. I went back to the gym and played ball with my son. We played like 10 games. Because we were just so happy to be back in the gym. I'm paid for it last night. I must have took like 5 Tylenol and got in the ice tub today. But
so you and Jim both out there doing something y'all ain't done in a while. Tell them what you done, honey.
I ran wind sprints with my receivers. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, buddy. Hammy over my moons over my hammies. Dig your
I
heel
wasn't
now.
moving fast enough to.
Did you beat your receivers though? Did you beat them?
I ain't beating them dudes, man. Them dudes is young.
Oh, forget that, Jimmy. I was racing kids till 2015. I was working at Watts Charter School, and our director made us wear shirts and ties every day, dress shoes, everything. And the kids, when you get to know kids, you get some rapport. They don't think you were ever athletic or young. So I said, I was like, I will beat y'all right now in my dress clothes. They're like, Mr. Cobbs, you ain't got no speed, Mr. Cobbs. Because I believe my coworker was Tanisha Johnson, who ran track at USC, and they always challenging her to run, and she's, of course, she smokes the girls. They know she can run. She's still 15 years younger than I. But I'm the old head with gray hair. Stacey Adams, slacks, dress shirt, tie. And every kid in the school just challenged me every day. Come on, Mr. Cobbs, you can't beat me. So one day, I rocked a velour sweatsuit to work. And they were like, wait a minute.
Oh.
They were like, wait a minute. I said, it's dressy enough for me to come to work on a casual day. It was a casual Friday. And in Watts, we didn't have no real schoolyard area to play. The kids were like on a parking lot, playing basketball in a parking lot. It's a real small charter school. and we went to the street. You know, in Watts, in the projects, it's Success Avenue, and then it's 100 and whatever street. We went to the street, and we're gonna run from the street to the school. I mean, it might have been the whole neighborhood out there. It was like the biggest thing that happened to the neighborhood in a long time. And it was like, Mr. Cobb's gonna race. Mr. Cobb's gonna race the kids, and all the fast kids was, you know, taking their shoes off. We're gonna run barefoot. This is how we do it in the hood. I'm like, y'all ain't said nothing but a word. I ran in the hood without shoes before. Y'all ain't said nothing. We lined it up, man. I think it might have been like 60 yards or whatever. I think I smashed every kid out there for about like 15, 20 yards. The last race, I beat them, and I turned around and started backpedaling on the end. And I didn't have to hear nothing else from them kids ever again. Even the kid that had some burners, I had to clown him because he thought he had some wheels. I still had that fofo in me, so I was like, it's only a couple more years left I can use this thing, so let me use it and make it worthwhile. Nobody filmed it though. I'm mad about that. Nobody filmed it. I was like, oh, so somebody new check in the school, I gotta race them too. You gotta show these kids, man.
I had to stop after my first year of coaching. Well, I ended up racing a kid my first year at Gardena and ended up spraining my toe really bad. But the kids was like, you ain't got it, Mac, as varsity players. So I was like, all right, let me get in 707. Man, I must have had a career day in 707. I couldn't move the way I could, but just route running and knowing where to be. I was just in every other play, man. I was just killing these kids. They were like, dude, you only do that because you know the plays. I said, you're supposed to know the plays.
You're supposed to know the games.
Defense, so of course I'm going to be open.
You're supposed to know the plays I know the plays. If you could play the way you know the game now and go back and play, how much easier would the game be? I mean, dang. I mean, just even the skullduggery of getting someone's head before the event, even though like those little races in the parking lot at Watts, I was in those kids' heads. I was before the race in their head. I was saying little stuff like, "Oh, y'all don't know that I ran a 4.28 before." They were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, when I was in really good shape, I was like, I had one of the fastest times ever at UCLA." They're like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, true story. I never ran it again, but you know, true story.
That ain't the point.
It's on the books." Point is, I could beat everybody out here point blank. That's what I'm saying. Mike said, grew up running barefoot. Well, Mike, we know you from Sierra Leone. You're a real African brother. You ran with the gazelles. We get it, Mike. But now you're a big silverback bear backing little kids in the paint, trying to dunk on little kids. That's crazy, man.
The last time I did the event, the football team challenged the coaches to a basketball game, and it was going up to 15. And I was like, y'all don't want that. So a lot of the coaches didn't show up. So it was like other staff members. Man, we was killing them dudes. I was just backdoor cutting them to death. I'll walk up the court, I'll act like I'm just tired, and then just cut. It was like, dude, you can't stop that, man. I'm like, I'm gonna do the same thing over and over again, man. I was 5 or 7 from the field, man. They just couldn't understand the concept of stopping a backdoor cut.
No, man. Mike's staff said he got his on tape when I was old and out of shape a few years ago at the car dealership. He ran in his slacks and he killed him. It's on Facebook in the archives. I remember that race, but that ain't saying much, man. You know, car salesman can't run. If you have any history of any kind of speed, I go to any car dealership in America and get me a couple wins. But I remember that video, Mike. car dealer dudes be walking up to you when you walk in the lot. Hey, can we help you? They be trying to scoot up and beat the other car salesman up to you. I was like, this guy ain't got no speed. I would beat everybody to the first client like I'm going out there. Not fair, man. Mike's staff is faster than us. He gets to the clients before we do. This is interesting. Before we even get started, Mike put something very interesting in the comments. He said, "Youth is wasted on the young." I think that's a deeper concept than the sentence implies. And that we did. My son right now, I'm not saying he's wasting it. I'm just saying some of the information that I'm trying to share with him, he won't get it until
Yeah.
He's 18. Like, you know, like some kids have it early, some kids don't. And I was like, man, if I only knew some of the stuff I knew when I was 25, if I'd have known that stuff when I was 18 or 16,
Yep.
man.
I mean, but that's part of the growing experience. If you know everything as a young person, you know what I'm saying, then what is there left to learn? You know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody's going to learn at different rates, but if you know everything at a young age, what is there left to learn? How boring would your life get at some points? You know, part of the learning process is understanding, you know, or is getting that, oh man, that's what they meant process, which sticks to your head and sticks to you for the rest of your life after that. Like, that's what they were talking about when they were young.
Yeah.
You know, my high school coach told me, I can give you the ball every play. We'll probably win every game, but you know you wouldn't have fun while you're doing that. And I'm like, at that moment, man, I just want to win. I don't care if you gave me the ball every play.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of years later at UCLA, I think we beat somebody. I didn't even touch the ball all game, and I was just as happy as I was if I would have scored 5 touchdowns in the game. I was like, we won. I'm satisfied. I'm good. But I didn't do absolutely nothing to help us win. But I was satisfied. I mean, it was just the fact that to see my teammates, my friends achieve and accomplish stuff always made me feel just as good as me accomplishing something. So that was, I understood where he was coming from. And he understood that about me before I understood it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's, I wouldn't say a decent segue in that our first topic is disrespect and you know, the fine line between coaching up, the fine line between sports related comments and disrespect, and the line you draw on the line. I think just talking about the youth and being able to understand what someone's trying to express to us or show us is kind of what we keep hearing about the Kwame Brown situation. And that when he was 18-year-old kid, a lot was put on his shoulders. And a lot of 17, 18-year-old kids would have cracked under those circumstances. But he stood this test of time playing 12 years, even after being browbeaten by MJ and Kobe or Doug Collins. But we won't ever get to hear what was actually said by that coaching philosophy or what MJ actually said on a daily basis or how he treated him. But it's just a matter of Kwame was mature enough to take it, and they always said he was respectful. He just didn't get it. And you know, it's interesting to kind of look at it. When I saw the players from the Washington Wizards on a podcast, Eton Thomas and some other guys, talking about when we were in the mix when it was happening, and when MJ joined the Wizards, that was for all of us. All of our games took a backseat to MJ, so we could not be who we were as high schoolers or as college players. And Kwame didn't even have it as a college player. So just imagine how much your growth would be stunted. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy that. But what about year 10? What about after you got from underneath those thumbs on your head and you're now tired of being held back? You know, when are you going to say, you know what, I'm a grown man now and I'm going to show you what I can do? Is it that serious when you've been destroyed for so long or talked about for so long, you never be able to climb up out of that narrative about you? Is that something that you are taking from this whole thing? What's your take on it?
Yeah, my take is that his growth was stunted so damaging at such a young age in the NBA. You know, I mean, we wasn't there. You know, I'd loved to be a fly on the wall to hear what was being said, because in reality, and we talked, and I think we were talking with Lonnie about it, it's not about what's being said. It's sometimes about who's saying it and what's the context of how they're saying it.
Yeah.
So, you know, somebody can be like, man, you suck, but this is how we going to work on it. You know, not yelling at you like, hey, man, you suck. You need to be here doing this and doing that. Everybody responds to things differently. I think Kwame Brown was so mentally and psychologically beat down at that time. Maybe somebody should have checked on his mental health. Maybe somebody should have, you know, understood like, man, this is an 18-year-old kid. Let's do things. But, you know, we got in his first stint in the NBA is with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wants to win now. Michael Jordan wants to prove I'm the greatest of all time. I can take a bunch of dudes that are considered bums with the Washington Wizards, and I can get them into the playoffs, which will prove that I'm the greatest of all time. He was in that mode instead of saying, you know what, we got this kid first. He's 18. I'm going to just go ahead and let me help nurture this dude. This ain't about me. This is about him. This is about letting these guys grow, because I think that will make your legacy much better if you can get guys growing. And that's why I'm kind of mad at the Lakers with LeBron. You brought him in, and then you shipped all these young dudes out that you had invested in. And you look at these young dudes. Lonzo's balling.
Ingram.
Ingram's balling, and the guy from the Knicks right now, I can't think his name.
Julius Randle.
They're all balling right now. Just imagine the Lakers have patience. No, they don't probably win that championship last year in the bubble with AD, but we have this young, exciting team with these guys that we can cultivate and let grow over the next 5 to 6 years together as a team, and they'll get better. I mean, it was kind of like what the Golden State Warriors did. The Golden State Warriors didn't try to hurry up and say, all right, let's bring in a mega star and let's try to win. They let Steph, Clay, Draymond, they let them grow. You know what I'm saying? And they just put in other pieces to help them grow, that didn't demand or take anything away from them. So I think with Kwame Brown, and I think with the whole thing about talking to your athletes, like I try my best not to tear athletes down when I'm coaching them. I calm myself first, because you're usually disappointed when you're about to make these coaching points. I calm myself first, and then I go to them and go, hey, this is what we got to work on. This is what we got to do. For instance, one of my guys showed me a film of his daughter the other night, just sent me a film on his phone of her running. And I told him, hey, look, be calm with this. Let's work on her technique on coming out the blocks. This is going to shave some time off her race. Mm-hmm. And I showed him how it should go. I showed him Shelly Ann Fraser-Price. Just work on that. She's not going to get it right away, so don't be mean. Don't be mad at her. Don't yell at her. Just work on that. What she do, she shaves off 3/10 off of her race, off her 100. Mm-hmm. Just getting out. Just block works. 2 days of block works. And I said, now y'all set goals on. Let her set the goals. This is how I want to improve. This is how I want to improve. And that's how sometimes you got to handle athletes. But different coaches work in different ways. I try not to be a yeller and screamer and fusser, because that was my dad. And my dad coached me, and I hate it when he did that. So I hate when people do that, because just tell me what to do and show me how to do it. And I promise you I'm going to go out there and do it better the next time. So I think with the Kwame Brown thing, I think after 20 years of this, I think the man got fed up. He's tired of hearing it. And I think part of the blame is that we have so much media nowadays. Yeah. I'm quite sure Kwame Brown has seen 70 podcasts bashing how he's a bust. And he's like, who are these dudes? Yeah. Who's AC and Mac? Who are these dudes? They calling me a bust. What did they ever do? But then to hear his fraternity, like he said, we're a fraternity, man. Nobody's better than us when we're out there, but yet we are constantly tearing each other down. He doesn't have thick skin or thick enough skin to handle it, but he has to. I mean, he's making good media for everybody right now, but I think everybody should step back and go, okay, how can we put this in better context? Because nobody really knows the true story of the Kwame Brown story. Maybe he'll make the first dance 30-minute segment of Kwame Brown telling us how it is.
Yeah.
What's your take?
I mean, I got a point. I'm gonna go ahead and go to Mike, because Mike has an interesting take. He says they were all bums, so much so that a 4-year-old owner had to lace them up. These guys got excuses and weren't that good. His growth wasn't stunted because Cuz couldn't hold onto the ball. My G played 13 seasons and averaged 6 points and 5 rebounds a game. Bynum was wilt compared to Kwame, and he came in the league at 17 and dunked on Shaq just after Shaq dunked on him his rookie season. So stop it, please. I've heard that take as well, as far as us making excuses. I'm not going to say it did not stunt. I'm going to tell you, because personally, my high school basketball coach, Ron Palmer, told me, don't shoot. The assistant coach told me I shot too much. You don't think that affects somebody? I still don't shoot the ball. And I'm 47 years old. So I know when you're a kid and someone tells you something that is so to your heart, to your soul, it made me stop playing basketball. I didn't go back to basketball my senior year because I was not going to be a defensive stopper that just dunked the ball once in a while. I was like, I'll just go run track. This is a waste of time then. I'm going to play football and run track. Because if I can't gun, I'm like, I'd rather play 6-man and come off the bench and just gunning than be told I can't shoot the ball because I'm playing with some guys that are going D1 in basketball and I'm not. It was just like, you know what? You just destroyed my love of the game. I'm only out here because my friends want me to play. But senior year came around, I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't want to play. The coach just told me I'm not allowed to shoot the ball. I can't imagine what Kwame went through. Now, at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, okay, you got destroyed. At some point, I would invest in myself and go to Hakeem Olajuwon camp and figure out how I'm going to, better this situation because I keep getting signed. Maybe I would, at some point find some type of game. Rondo learned how to shoot. Jason Kidd learned how to shoot. You you kind of make those adjustments. Kwame never really got that much better. I believe he had one season where he averaged 10 rebounds. So the idea that he had one good season.
He had one good season where he was 12-8 or 12-9.
Yeah.
But you got to understand people. This is I kind of want to address Mike Stafford on this. To say that they all were bums. You got to talk about situation and franchises. Certain franchises are good. The reason why the Wizards ain't won nothing in a long time because it's just not a good franchise. Doug Collins was their coach. He had never won nothing. He brought in Jordan. You had Stackhouse already, who was an alpha male. Stackhouse has bad things to say about Jordan. You had Larry Hughes, who was a good defensive player and could score. Larry Hughes had a couple of seasons at 20 points per game. He messed up the chemistry of building a team. See, everybody wants to win now. There's chemistry things. The Detroit Pistons didn't win right away. The Detroit Pistons had to be built over the 80s. They have to escape under the shadow of the Bucks and Hawks and the Celtics in order to get to where they have to go, and the Sixers as well, before they became big. So people don't have patience to get these things. Like when Michael Jordan got there, they still wasn't a playoff team. They still went 37-45. You're dumping the ball into a guy who had been out of the NBA for 3 or 4 years and saying, hey, go out there and lead this team. Those guys didn't care about his status anymore. They were more about getting their own thing. So you're taking shots and taking stuff away from these guys, and you're hindering development. You can't hinder development like that. In my good years, in my young good years, where I can be that guy who developed the confidence, where I can be Mamba mentality. Yeah, I can shoot 44% from the field, but I'm going to take 20 plus shots to get mine. You got guys now, and they can't do that because why? As Sackhouse said, Doug Collins is constantly calling plays for Mike, putting Mike on the block, do this, do that. If I'm the big man and I'm on the block, I got to start thinking about every opportunity counts. So when it is my opportunity, maybe I'm too nervous and too amped up. I mean, it was like that at UCLA. Imagine having, like, in our position, you had already moved the defense, but I'm still playing behind Stokes and Kevin Jordan. They're all Americans. They're going to get the ball. So when the ball finally comes my way, either I'm going to pucker up or I'm going to make a play, because it's a scary notion. Like if I drop this pass, I'll probably never get another pass again for the rest of the season. So you have these situations as an athlete where you're thinking in your head, how can I maximize what I can do in limited opportunity? I was talking to this guy today, and he said Rocket Ishmael was the biggest Heisman snub ever. And I said, explain to me how's that when Rocket Ishmael never put up Heisman numbers. Now, when Rocket Ishmael did get the ball, explosive. But you mean to tell me, I said, when Rocket was the runner-up in the Heisman Trophy, Desmond Howard that same season had better production. So you mean to tell me that he is that Rocket deserved that attention over Desmond Howard? But the thing with Rocket is that he knew that even if he messed up, he was going to get another opportunity. You get another person in that same situation, they're not going to get those same opportunities. So it's one of those things where, especially in basketball, everybody sees your face. They see you. They see your mistakes all the time. I can mess up on a route. Nobody will never know because I'm probably not in the film. I'm probably not in the film. But when he drops a pass, he wasn't the only player that dropped passes coming in. You know what I'm saying? Oh, or missed the hook. LeBron airballs 2-footers sometimes.
Right.
It happens. But his stuff is so. And I think it's because he was the number one pick, it was so much more highlighted because there were much better players in the draft that could have been picked. But how do we know that their progress wouldn't have been hindered playing with Michael Jordan? Because think about Kwame's career. He played with two of the most honorary and most spirited players that you can possibly be teammates with in Jordan and Kobe. And if you're trying to search and find your way and you're trying not to make mistakes, you know when you make a mistake, they will make that even that much more.
Yeah.
So sometimes having teammates that will highlight your mistakes so much more and embarrass you, it would be tough. So I feel for Kwame Brown. I still don't think he wasn't. I don't even know if he could have been a great player. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I mean, look at the Pistons. They drafted Darko Milicic over Carmelo Anthony. That Carmelo Anthony could have gave them a dynasty, but they drafted Darko Milicic instead. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that happens, but nobody's talking about Darko like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody's Darko.
I mean, like I said, even after the brow beating, after 5, 6, 7 years, you still, I mean, as good as he was coming out of high school, and that he was better than the two other bigs he had to compete against as far as top big in the draft. He was, they said, worlds beyond those two guys. It was, I believe it was Tyson Chandler and who was the other big? Othello Harrington, somebody like
Curry.
Oh yeah,
Curry.
Big Curry. So he was better than those guys. So they drafted him first, the best player in the draft as far as size is concerned. And it never panned out. So not to spend too much time on it, he never became the player that we thought he would be. So that leads me to the second part of the disrespect topic. Stephen A. put some fuel to the fire with his low light highlight reel and pretty much spoke to the fact of what Kwame Brown was saying about media personalities and talk show hosts and podcasters always trying to bring the black man down, so to speak. I'm not with that because everybody in the league is black. It's just, can we critique? Is it disrespectful to critique in a negative fashion, a la Stephen A. Smith, who will talk bad about a player in a second, and he wasn't very good himself. So is it disrespectful or is it out of pocket? Should we as podcasters, former players of a different sport, have anything to say about a player that's played 12 years, about his game not ever becoming what it should have been?
Well, I think when it comes to depending, like it's, once again, who's saying it? Stephen A. Smith has built his whole analysis career on disrespect and being a loudmouth. Think about it. When he grabs the mic, he already got his eyebrows already like he's mad about something. He's screaming and yelling. So when players see that and they know how big his platform is, they know that that's going to echo. And that's going to be the talk of the barbershops, talk of all that stuff. So Stephen A. Smith do come with a sense of disrespect because it's not more about the analysis of the player. It's more about making himself look so much better and being this expert at things. Like I've seen Stephen A. talk bad about Carmelo Anthony and then the next day have to go on air and apologize because Carmelo Anthony called him and be like, so that's what we doing? So that's how that goes down. You know, or he'll be hypocritical about something. He'll say something one week, and Max Kellerman is good at calling him out on this. He'll say something one week and have a total different opinion on it the next week on the same exact topic. So guys like that, where they have these massive platforms and they're saying things, it hits a different way. Where me and you, we're here, we're having a good time. We don't have the platform that they have. People will see our show, you know what I'm saying? But they know that we're just poking and good fun because at the end of the day, we do appreciate the fact that Kwame Brown in the league, we get to hear his story. We get to know about them, that we're not in it for that. We're just going to tear this man down and build ourselves up. We're just in it because it's like we're making honest analysis. You know, I mean, Kwame Brown wasn't the best player in the world, but I just think that he is definitely JaVale McGee. You know what I'm saying? Just that he was drafted higher than JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee does all the same things. If they had a Shaqtin' a Fool, Kwame Brown would have been JaVale McGee. Yeah. That's just how that would have been.
Yeah.
So, I mean, once again, it depends on who's saying it, how it's being said. But, I mean, I think when it comes to disrespect, guys like Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Colin Cowherd, a lot of them, because of their platform and because of how they come at it, like as if I could have did that. Like when Jalen Rose called Skip Bayless water pistol Pete Maravich, and Skip Bayless got off that and got in his feelings, and then they made Jalen Rose apologize. It was Jalen Rose giving exactly what Kwame Brown is doing now. How are y'all breaking me down? Are you trying to say how good you were breaking other athletes down? What did you do besides give this analysis? What are you doing besides that stuff? So, I mean, us as athletes, we understand that grind. We understand that, and we do come from a different perspective. I kind of think when he came at Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes and Agent Zero, I thought he kind of went a little bit overboard with that. But at the same time, I get it. I understand it. But that's one of those things where you make a phone call to those dudes. Hey, man, come on now. I'm tired of hearing this stuff for 20 years.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
But
can you cut me?
But has it come to a point where we can't have honest analysis? Like I was joking on my show on Tuesday. I said, Kwame Brown, come for me, brother. Everything I'm saying is what I see. If I was dropping the ball when I was playing high school football, they called me Butterfingers in Long Beach because I was dropping touchdowns. I was dropping touchdowns. It's what's happening. I had to do something about it. So my senior year, I didn't drop no passes. You know, it's just like, do you change the narrative for yourself? No matter what they're saying about you, it's happening. People are going to critique sports no matter if you big, small, what platform you got. So my thing was this: if you're going to use your platform to build a podcast, because my take is this: I think Kwame Brown is smart enough, intelligent enough to start this mess and have his own podcast, and he's going to be getting the bag too. Because at this point, everybody's listening to everything. They got Jadakiss and them having a podcast about Kwame Brown. And the Breakfast Club is bringing Kwame Brown on the show. Everybody wants to know what Kwame Brown's going to say next. He's actually really funny. He's actually really articulate. So I think he's right in position for a big payday for a podcast from Triller or wherever he's going to be at. I think he's in prime position to make a better comeback than any player could by having his name now being a household name, because he was the butt of jokes for 20 years. Why was he the butt of jokes, not Sam Bowie? Not any other Euro guys who didn't pan out, who went before Carmelo, and all these guys that were busts. You were a bust because you played with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, so we had to write about you and see you drop passes, you not dunk the ball. In Laker Town, like, dunk the ball, man. We used to having guys that would dunk the ball if you're giving a nice little 3-0 pitch, dime inside. So it's just tough, man, for us not to be critical about something we saw with our own eyes. I saw Kwame Brown play, so when I heard him talk on the podcast, I'm like, man, he must have been a baller. He said he can get a double-double when he feels like it. I'm like, what player is he talking about? Is he talking about himself? I don't remember seeing that. When I saw him play, I was like, get him out of there.
Hey, when he meant he can get a double-double at any time, he's talking about going to In-N-Out. I can go to In-N-Out, get me a burger when I feel like it. In-N-Out, anytime. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, because it's hard because we wasn't there. And I get what you're saying about he's building his own platform, which he can most definitely secure that. But when this controversy runs out, will he lose that platform? I mean, you got your 15 minutes of fame, go out there and grab it. But at the same time, man, I think there's two things can be true. He's doing what he's doing to get noticed, but he's also clapping back so hard on people that we want to see it. So when he runs out of material, what's next? Because he's going to constantly need people to fuel the fire. He's going to constantly need people. He's
setting himself up real nice because he still ain't played the Michael Jordan card. He ain't called out MJ. And that's when it's going to be sweeps week and he wants to really put his name on the map. I'm going at MJ on Thursday. Everybody's going to tune in. And MJ, are you going to respond? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm being set up, man. Let's see what everybody talking about on here. We got Rodney Sauce here just checked in. What do you say?
Publicly, criticism is part of your job. Hey, you know what though? It's part of your job, but there is certain levels to the criticism. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's certain people, like refs. You know how sensitive referees are. They're out there in the public. When people talk bad about the refs, they get sensitive and clap back, teching people. They doing all that stuff. Hey, ref, shake your head, see your eyes work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Out there publicly, it's gonna be criticism, but it's just the way we do it.
Yeah. My attorney, Everett Glenn, Esquire Extraordinaire, said Sam Bowie was a bust because of injuries. When he was healthy, he played like a first overall pick. Well, he was the second overall pick behind Hakeem Olajuwon, I believe. It was Hakeem Olajuwon, Sam Bowie, and Michael Jordan in that draft. But he, with injuries, I mean, I believe injuries are a past with like Greg Oden, guys like that who just could not get out of the ice tub because of injury. And we get that, but you still get the rap. Like, I feel bad for Greg Oden. People talk about him.
Yeah, he had mental health issues.
Yeah, so people still ask him on the street, did you play basketball? And it makes him sad. You know what I'm saying? So I feel bad for him, but it does come with the territory, man. And it is another segue. Being a public figure. Talking about Liz Cambage. Being a public figure, being an athlete, does that warrant a coach to call out her weight And the reason why he called out her weight, because he wanted to throw a jab at her, is that called for? In the heat of the moment, in the game, if coach screams out a young lady's weight, knowing she's self-conscious, is that disrespectful to the point where he's fined and it is no longer acceptable for coaches to do such a thing? Have you done that as a coach?
We're in different generations. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you dropping passes at Long Beach probably is called Butterfinger. So what are you going to do to change the narrative?
Don't drop.
I mean, I had to deal with being skinny and small my whole life. You know what I'm saying? So somebody picking me up and throwing me or doing something like that, and on the football field, you know, hey, what I'm going to do next? I got to get that out of everybody's memory. So what am I going to do? I just think nowadays what we have started. Back then, the narrative of athletes in our generation were the poor athletes who came from the hood, who are used to criticism and ridicule, of rising above that. Now we're seeing this second wave and the second generation of, or maybe a third or fourth generation of athletes. They're more suburban. They're more spoiled. They're used to getting praise. They're used to somebody praising them and loving every minute and every bit of their lives. So when they finally get criticized, they can't handle it. Like Liz Cambridge, she could have clapped back in a more friendlier way, but the way she clapped back, she made the situation worse. I mean, personally, as that coach, I mean, I don't know what he see, because when I see Liz Cambridge running up and down the court, I'm like, oh my God, give me all of that Amazon right there. I can, man,
Jimmy,
super kids.
Jimmy.
I can build super kids with them.
I'll be LeVar Ball Part 2. Never lost.
But for him to say that woman's 300 pounds, so what you're saying that this woman is Shaq, you know what I'm saying? And then nowadays, body shaming of women is one of those things that you cannot do. Body shaming of women. I mean, I've been on kind of different sides of that as a coach, where I had a young lady and I told her, I said, hey, you know what? Next season when you come in, what's going to make you faster and more explosive if you just drop a little weight. I wasn't calling her fat. I'm just saying, hey, you got to drop a little weight because of the events that you do, you're carrying too much weight. It's going to hurt your body over the time. And it's not that you can carry muscle, is more flat, out of shape. And now we're trying to work it. That's why you're not peaking the way you should. She didn't take it the hard way. Yeah. She just said, okay, I gotta work. Right. So she came back the next year. Then I had a coach that coached with me, and he told the little girl that she had one of the greatest bodies he had ever seen. And I'm like, dude, wait, what are you saying? Like,
oh my God,
how are you saying this? And he was just like, no, he said, no, she has a great body. Look at that. And I was like, oh my God, you in the sports sense, or are you saying this? So sometimes you can, and he made that little girl so uncomfortable that she didn't even want him coaching her anymore. So I had to basically just coach her on that level, because she was so uncomfortable after that. So you got to be careful on what you're saying and how you're saying it to this generation, especially the females anyway, because females are way more sensitive than males. I mean, like I said, I grew up, I was skinny all the time. So people was always on me about my weight. You know, my girlfriend weighed more than you.
Oh,
like,
dang,
so
dang.
Like, so what, man? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things, like, it's just how you come at people, once again, who's saying it and how they're saying it. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a more sensitive and not so
well, people are already defensive. People are defensive, period. You can't send an email without rereading it 3 times. You can't send a text message to a coworker without making sure they don't get the wrong idea. I mean, that's the culture we live in. Like, if we say the wrong thing, we could be canceled and fired for just being misunderstood. This guy said, for God's sake, she's 300 pounds. Let me see what exactly he said. I actually found the quote of what he said. Come on, she's 300 pounds. Because he wasn't getting a call. Yeah. He didn't have to say it like that. He didn't have to say that. Yeah. So he meant disrespect. He wanted to get under her skin. And I just know that we all told a line. All these different instances. The other disrespect instance was the popcorn throwing at Westbrook. I was talking to, I believe I was on the line with Lonnie Grimm and them in our sports talk group, and I said popcorn is not, and I'm not defending the Eagles. I mean the Wizards, the Sixers fans. I'm a Sixer fan, and I'm pretty harsh, but I don't throw stuff. But if I did throw something, it would be popcorn. Popcorn is not as vulgar as spit or a drink.
And as much as that popcorn costs, I'm eating every kernel and the seeds.
Like, it's not as, I mean, it's this level of disrespect in what you actually throwing. You go to a show, you throw tomatoes because you're not happy. This is back in the days. We never got to a show where you can throw tomatoes. But I believe you throw popcorn when you boo at somebody. You throw paper at somebody. It's not gonna. I mean, a manager kicking dirt on the ump in the baseball. You kicking dirt, but you will not spit on the person. I know it sounds petty and shallow, but it's just like, all right, so now we got to a point now where fans are now not going to be allowed to interact with athletes, because Westbrook has been known to interact with fans, and it's always been because he sometimes is the antagonist to the fans. I believe he called this fan fat, a Philadelphia Sixer fan fat back in the day. So he's had a love-hate with them for a long time. So is this the end of fan-player interaction because of disrespect?
I think so, because I think sometimes these fans cross the line. Like, I was just thinking today, what player did I ever hate so much that I would actually throw something at them? And I'm thinking, I've never had that. Like, I've never had that where, oh man, and I hated Larry Bird growing up. I hated Larry Bird. You know what I'm saying? I hated John Riggins growing up. I hated those dudes. You know what I'm saying? Because they played on teams that were they were kicking my team's butt. So I'm just like, I don't like these dudes. But would I throw something at them? No. Will I boo them? Yes. So I'm just thinking I would never cross that line, because also I'm an athlete. I wouldn't want somebody throwing something at me. You know what I'm saying? And I've never had poor interactions with the fans, but I think sometimes these fans are crossing the line. Personally, I think those seat courts that are right next to the bench, I think that should be out of bounds. You should not have
people that close
to the crowd. Like, for instance, say if Shaq falls on some kid sitting on that row,
kills him.
That kid's gonna take a heavy hit. Those things can be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been against that. And I also believe that adult fans get so caught up into their teams that it's more life or death for them. It's more like bragging rights, or like if the Lakers lose, the Eagles lose and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm mad, but I'm not gonna go to work. Don't talk to me. Don't say nothing to me. First of all, I didn't even talk mess to nobody about it. I just hope my team wins and stuff like that. Somebody say something to me, then I might say something back, but I'm just like, man, hopefully it's a good game. Everybody's, healthy at the end. We want this to turn out. The malice in the palace, you know what I'm saying? Or, what happened with Trae Young? You spit on me. Now we've entered a whole different level of disrespect. Yeah. Like he said, popcorn, I probably wouldn't even trip off some popcorn. How do I know that somebody spilled some popcorn and it just fell down? You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't have been so mad about that. But spit, Trae Young handled that. He handled that as like he was Jesus himself. Like he just kind of shook it off. Me, I'd have turned around and been like, oh, hell no. I know you didn't just spit on me. You know what I'm saying? Because you spit on me, one of us is visiting the hospital, because you're going to have to whoop me. Because I'm surely trying to whoop you after you do that. Yeah. If somebody accidentally spit in my face when we're talking, I'd be like, oh, man, you got me. You got me good.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's just that a lot of fans are entitled now. A lot of fans take this to the max because they feel sometimes we have so much stress in our lives, or so many things going on, that victory by my team helps me get through the day, helps me get to the next round, help me get to the next level. I mean, remember they used to be the stat, the worst day for spousal abuse was the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Guys losing money, the team losing. So that used to be the thing. So I think sometimes as fans, they take it too overboard. And when they can't, they know that they can't deal with the regular man in the stands. If I say something to a player or athlete, I feel emboldened. They're not really going to do nothing unless it's Vernon Maxwell or Ron Artest, then I have to worry about that. But they know Kobe ain't coming into the stands. They knew Jordan wasn't coming into the stands. So they did things and they do things, they say things. But this generation, some of these guys are the wrong ones to do that to. Westbrook is probably one of the wrong ones to do that to. You know what I'm saying? So I just think the fans are taking it too overboard. They take the fanatic thing a little bit too serious. So, and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, one of my biggest takeaways, and this is Edgar Bennett when I was in training camp, and Edgar Bennett said this because I asked him why he doesn't like to give autographs. He said, imagine me going to this dude's office while he's trying to work, and I go, hey, man, let me get your autograph. Why don't you sign this, man? I know you got these TPS reports to turn in, but hey, man, come on, take the time out and sign this autograph for me. And this happens every day.
Every day.
Every day I go to this job. Every day. He said, man, we're at work. He said, yes, this seems like fun, but you know how much work we put into this. You know how much this is, how much your body aches, how much you just trying to concentrate on your play, get into the next thing. We can't have people just distracting us at work because we couldn't do that to anybody else, but they feel entitled to do that to us. So I get that point, but at the same time, man, just to have a fan to me was somebody like me as a player. Okay, that's great. I'm not really trying to do it for them, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I remember, man. I mean, the player fan relationship is sacred. I remember as I was playing arena football in San Jose, and we got front row tickets to the WWF. I believe it was WWF at the time. Eddie Guerrero was fighting, and we had front row seats because the owner of the team pretty much owned the stadium too. So we was right there in the front. And Eddie Guerrero had come out to wrestle, and we were right in his face, and we were like, dude, you're 5'8". You know, we're like, you're so small. Oh my God, you're small. And he was like, F you. You know, I'm the best. You know, if you're not trying to win, you're not cheating, you're not trying to win. We're like, but you're 5'8". I thought you were 6'5". Wow, you're small. I'm bigger than you. We were talking trash, man. And he was like, he got into like a pushing contest with us. We were all football players. And he was like, yo, F you, I'm Eddie Guerrero. We were like, yeah, but you're 5'8". And we were like, you know, we was on his head. And it was just fun. We knew we weren't going to do anything besides just jaw jack with him and, you know, be a little bit personal about how can you be the WWF world champion and you only weigh 200 pounds? You know, it was like,
you're not even heavy.
Yeah, you're like 185. I feel robbed. Like, I thought you were bigger than that. Why are you so small? And he stood there and jaw jacked with us on his way to the ring for at least 2 or 3 minutes. It was so fun, man. But it was like we as fans, we gave him what he wanted because he was a heel, but he was the champ. But it was just like, man, and I don't think real sports, because that's sports entertainment, that's different. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's different. There are fans who really hate wrestlers that are heels. I was watching the Shawn Michaels documentary, and it really had people that really wanted to hurt him in real life. Like they didn't realize he was acting a character, even though he was a jerk in real life. But the fandom, people got to chill on this idea that you have the audacity and gall to attack people because they play for a different team. And if they were on your team, you would like them. But since they're not on your team, you hate them, and you would like to post bodily harm on them. I think it's going way too far, man. I mean, we've been called everything but a child of God when we played football. At Nebraska, those fans were too close. Tennessee, those fans were too close. I mean, Tennessee throwing Jack Daniels bottles and oranges at us. I'm like, hey, man, we're kids. And these rednecks are down here acting like they was going to lynch us if we were walking down the street without our team. So it's crazy out there. Players, watch your back. Keep your distance. The disrespect is at an all-time high.
When engaged, man, just take the higher road. Like if you don't Charles Barkley and throw people through play glass windows, man, you at a bar, somebody has me, hey man, let me get you a drink. Let's talk. You know, do something so you won't lose your way of life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or even lose your life. Remember Paul Pierce got stabbed outside of a bar. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful with these type of things. Yeah. I'm still tripping off how the Malice and Palace didn't end Meta World Peace's career and Steven Jackson's career. They were beating up fans. They was cold cocking dudes, man. Jermaine O'Neal one
too.
fan should have been happy that Jermaine O'Neal actually slipped as he was throwing the punch, because if Jermaine O'Neal
would have connected
with full, oh man, he'd have killed that dude.
That was a long.
But he slipped as.
That was a long. He stretched out long for that one. And I'm like, and he wasn't even cool with Ron Artest and them guys at that point. He just like was throwing dogs because he was throwing dogs. So I'm like, them dudes actually got back in the league after that. I thought they were going to be banned from the league when I saw the Mouse and the Palace. I had never seen nothing like that in my life. But they got back in the league. Everything is indefinite suspension.
I remember how I found out about the Mouse and the Palace. I was at work at UCLA, And my wife called me and said, "You need to see this on TV. They acting a fool in Detroit." I said, "What?"
They acting a
I
fool.
turned on the TV and was like,
What
"Oh,
in the
wow!"
They are going in. I'm like, everybody about to get fired. I mean, like, they ain't gonna have a team next week. Everybody about to get suspended. They had 18 dudes fighting, and I mean, they were walking up on dudes on the court. I'm like, how did the fans get on the court? I was was crazy, man. All right, man. So disrespected all time high, y'all. Watch your back, protect your neck when you go to the ball game. This one came down my timeline, man. Naomi Osaka. She is the #1 money earner in all female athletes, I believe, in 2021. And she recently said she's no longer doing press conferences because the questions are demeaning, and for her mental health, she is not doing any more press conferences. And she may not do any interviews. Some people saying she's making a huge mistake. I actually applaud her in that she's taking a stand, because a lot of the questions a lot of reporters ask her are similar to the questions that were asked of Serena and Venus when they were coming out. And, you know, kind of like condescending and kind of like sarcastic in nature. So I am not totally mad at Naomi Osaka. What do you think when you hear about her stance on not doing interviews?
If it's for this one thing, as a high profile athlete like her, you do have to protect your mental health. You most definitely have to protect who you are and not get baited into saying certain things or doing certain things. So, I mean, I like the Ray Allen approach. People forget Ray Allen never really said much when he was in the NBA. You never heard any controversy about him, nothing in the interview. Heck, I didn't know that he had a baby when he was in high school. And the girl had grown up until they did a commercial together when she was like in her teens. So you can take that approach where you just don't say much. You try to stay to yourself, especially when you feel that these questions are here to trip you up and cause controversy or to stir something up, to be put in the news as Naomi Osaka said this, or this is her stance on civil rights and stuff like that. She has to protect her mental health and herself first, and her family. And she probably understands, look, I play a game, I play a sport, and that's my goal, not to sit here and entertain reporters. That's a part of it, but that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm here to win matches. Sometimes what can be said in the paper can be a distraction. Sometimes what can be done can be a distraction because you know that they baited you and they got you. So I applaud her, man. You know, do what you got to do. If you feel that these people are not being fair in their questioning, hey, shut it down. You know, remember when Richard Williams did that?
Shut that thing down.
The lady was asking Venus all these questions, and he shut it down. Hey, look, this is a kid. You're not asking these questions. This is over with.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to do that instead of doing like, you know, I mean, think about Allen Iverson when they were asking questions that were demeaning and stuff like that. He'd just be like, you know what? We're done. I'm out. Mm-hmm. Instead of having, you know, some of his sound bites being out there where people had these bad, you know, had a bad perspective of him, or they felt a certain way about him. When the question is never aired, you just hear the soundbite of him saying it, so you leave it up to your imagination. They're never going to have a silly question that the reporter asked. They're just going to have your answer, and then people are going to leave the imagination. What did they say? So I applaud her, and go for it.
Yeah, the other side is people saying they're getting paid all this money. You're paid. You have to speak to the press, and I'm like, when was that ever mandatory? Like, when did that happen? Like, I think it should still be voluntary. I don't want to say anything because what I'm going to say is going to be misconstrued and twisted and spun. I don't want to be in your spin, you know, for tomorrow's news. You're trying to get a story and make me a meme. To this day, people don't think Allen Iverson likes to practice. The comment was taken out of context, completely out of context. And I believe Naomi Osaka, being the you know, sometime flame bearer of civil activism and things of that nature, they're going to always misconstrue and take what she has to say and try to make her a villain because of what she already has said about social injustice. So, you know, I think she should be able to say when I want to speak and when I don't want to speak. She can do a press conference and pull a beast mode. I'm only here so I don't get fined. I'm only here so I don't get fined. Or she sees a reporter that she can trust and she'll answer that question. But for your questions, I'm only here so I don't get fined. And that's what you're going to get. And I believe, you know, when you get those those condescending questions. You know when someone's asking you a question, sell out type of question. You get those guys on what's those guys that always ask the questions that seem like they're trying to get you to say something that you're not supposed to say, and you're like, I know where you're going with this. I prefer not to answer that. No comment. I plead the fifth. No comment. It's yeah. So it's crazy.
But the thing with Marshawn Lynch, when he did it, reporters knew and understood. So after a while, those annoying questions left. Now the people that were good-willed and good-spirited, he would answer their questions. Kind of like with Art Thompson. We knew when Art came into our locker room, nothing that I was going to say out of the heat of the moment was going to be in the newspaper. He was or he just was like, I'm not going to put that in here because I know these guys are mad, or they were in the heat of the moment. Where, I remember Plaschke one time, where at UCLA, he took something that I had said just way out of bounds, and I was like, oh man. I remember my dad was like, did you say that? I was like,
did you say that?
I didn't say it like that. I was like, oh man, here we go. Which I had to meet with Mark Dellins, had to meet with TD, and they were like, so this is how you feel about it? I was like, dude, that's not the context of what we were talking about. Like, people go, how can you be taken out of context when you said it? Because everything else that led up to that, you know what I'm saying? They just took that little bit of what you said and then threw it out there. And after that, I was like, dude, I'm not talking to nobody ever again. Like, that's not what I said, and that's not how it was meant to be said. So yeah. I get that.
Rodney Sasha said John McEnroe, of all people, is trying to get her to speak, trying to force her to speak. I mean, they're gonna find her, and I'm pretty sure somebody in her camp's gonna say, let's just go ahead and do these pressers. Just don't answer questions you don't want to answer. I think it's a bold stance. I don't think it's gonna stick very long. Otherwise, everyone's gonna do it. But I don't think it's going to last very long. Mike Stafford said it's in the contracts. Media rules the world. The narrative is all that matters. Those who control the message control your mind and can change history. Hey, the white man changed the Bible. They didn't speak English. King James and them wanted Jesus to be white, so they named him Jesus. Hey, don't get too real with him, Mike. That you control the narrative, you write the story. And I can't blame her for not wanting to speak. Shai Mo said, I'm Marshawn Lynch, and I'm just here so I don't get fined. Now let me go take care of my chickens. You heard me? Marshawn Lynch's press conferences are hilarious, man. And now he's doing a lot more press because now he's selective in who he's working with.
Yeah.
So, good for him, man. Good for him. All right, man. So last topic, we talked, the NBA is what it is. The Clippers are alive. The Celtics squeaked one out. I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. The Knicks are in trouble. The Lakers are in driver's seat. Sixers in the driver's seat. So it is what it is. And I pose this question to you, man. As I watched the Mike Tyson knockout part 1, I'm not sure if you've seen it. Mike Tyson is an icon. Was not the best heavyweight of all time by any stretch, but had the potential to be one of the best of all time. A lot of things came up in his life that deterred any of those talks, but he was still Iron Mike Tyson, global icon. Then you got people like Jordan, Lionel Messi, Serena Williams, Simone Biles, even Dennis Rodman, I would say, is iconic. And then he's best friends with the, North Korean guy. What makes an icon, man? What is it that makes certain people, not even the champ, it ain't even got to be the champ of your sport, but what is it that makes a person transcend cultures, countries, and sports?
Simple. The certain je ne sais quoi that you have that the fans like, because there's no formula that makes you like a Simone Biles. Why is she so famous? Because she's so dominant. Why is Lionel Messi so famous? He's so dominant. They don't really have great voices. They don't really have, they're celebrities. They don't have much to offer outside of their greatness most of the time. were a Dennis Rodman, who's very ugly dude, very weird dude, did weird, crazy things on court, and people loved the drama of him. He wasn't the greatest. You know, I wouldn't say he's a Hall of Famer, but is he one of the top power forwards ever? You know what I'm saying? Is he any of that? It was something about him. Is your je ne sais quoi that makes somebody like, it's like us trying to explain how good Tommy Frazier is and then trying to show somebody Tommy Frazier's stats. People like, he was that good? No, it was something that he brought to the table, and it's something that people bring to the table outside of their sports. Like I always, when I think of Mike Tyson, I remember the joke Jamie Foxx made about him that Mike Tyson did want to beat him up for. Like when Mike Tyson walk in the building, is like having somebody loose pit bull out. Like who pit bull is that? Because you don't know, he might go crazy. He might attack you. He might do something. And it's just
who pit bull is
that fear factor.
I didn't see that joke.
Oh man, it's the fear factor of Mike Tyson. Like if he walked in a room and I looked at him wrong, would he knock me out? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I heard a story about Mike Tyson one time. He was at a club, and this guy I knew was at the club with Mike Tyson, and these guys were rumbling outside of the bar, and Mike Tyson was walking out. And they said, somebody said, "Oh, it's Tyson." And everybody stopped fighting. So you won't accidentally hit this dude. And everybody kind of paused. He got into his car and drove off, and then they got back to rumbling. Because it was just like, if I hit this dude, man, we might have serious problems.
It's Mike.
Yeah,
I saw him on the was it the Stone Cold Steve Austin documentary? Like, this is wrestling at this height. Man, we need somebody even tougher than us to come in here and be the enforcer. Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what is going on here? The myth. I mean, Shot-Town Mo says you're iconic when you are known worldwide by one name because of what you've done in your profession. And that's what, you know, that's true to a certain degree, but it's like, well, you know, you said earlier Rocket. You said Rocket Ismail. To college fans, he's iconic because when you say Rocket, you immediately know who that is.
Yep.
But was he? You know, he wasn't global, I don't think. But you know, to a fan for about 25 years, the only Rocket I knew was Rakeem Ismail.
Yeah.
So
a good nickname also helps. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A good nickname also helps because it's a selling point. You know what I'm saying? Like the Human Highlight film. Dominique Wilkins never won nothing. He was never considered the greatest, but that name is known worldwide. You say Human Highlight film,
dunk on you.
Everybody gonna go Dominique Wilkins.
He'll dunk on you.
It's gonna be Dominique. Iceman.
George Gervin.
You know.
I just know. I think it's fascinating, man, that some people rise above the All-Star. They rise above the All-Pro. They rise above and they are Kobe-ish, and that they somehow you hated this man when he played, but you respected what he ended up being as a complete person. Michael Jordan, still hated by many, but loved by more.
But loved by more.
Yeah, so it was, you know, Karl Malone, hated. Charles Barkley, people hated Charles Barkley. Shaq, people hate Shaq. People love Shaq. But they are generational talents that have transcended their sport, and their persona, like you said, je ne sais quoi, the it that they have. Lionel Messi, can't even speak English. He still speaks
a little bit.
But we know who he is, and I don't even watch that much football, European football, soccer.
Oh, I can't wait for the Champions League final tomorrow between Chelsea and Man City.
Right.
I'm a big Chelsea fan, so I can't wait.
Right.
But you know,
it's crazy, man. But I
don't know. It's tough, man. It's a formula. You know, I mean, you already know my take about Jordan. I think a lot of more of what made him so much famous is the shoes. Like Morris Blackman said, it's the shoes. The shoes. It gotta be the shoes. I think more so he was a great player. I think more so people are just like wearing his sneakers made me figure. It gave me stature. I have a pair of Jordans, and everybody in the hood was like, "Oh, he got Jordans on." You couldn't play a lick of basketball but hit the court. Everybody was picking. Hey, he got on some Jordans. Get him on the court right now. So it's just what a person could do, or that certain thing that brings people to them. Whether we hate them, whether we like them, sometimes the infamy of a person makes you popular. Make you iconic. Like Kim Kardashian is one of the most iconic people on the planet right now. But what does she do, really?
I don't know.
What is it that she actually does? So it's these certain things, these certain traits about people. Like you look at a guy like Dennis Rodman. This dude has lived a life of 50 people.
Yeah, yes.
Hall of Fame basketball player, dating
the worm,
Playboy models. You know what I'm saying? Like meeting dictators and wrestling and being in movies. Like, who does this? And then you watch him play and go, that goofy dude got all this life.
That dude.
Like, just something about him.
That weirdo, man. That weirdo. Even like going back to wrestling, Mick Foley, Mankind. Mankind. Undertaker, Hulk Hogan. Like, they made these dudes icons. Limited athletic ability. I mean, it's just crazy how, going back to what Mike said, people that write these stories and create these stars. This is what's lacking in the WNBA, by the fact. Is these stars are made. Some of them are born, but most of them are made. And if you ain't got nobody writing your narrative, sometimes you won't even be ever heard of. But sometimes they'll create something like Pele. Pele is iconic. Now, is Pele the best soccer player of all time? Probably not. But they made it right. They wrote him in the books. As we read little books in the library as a kid, Pele was the best soccer player in the world. And nobody's ever going to be better than Pele. And I watched film on Pele. Yeah. He's good. But I can't say he's that much better than Ronaldo or Messi.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, they made him an icon. He has one name. And they made me think he was the best player of all time. Now I'm a little bit older. I can subjectively and objectively make a decision. If I'm going to be his fan, I'm like, yeah, he's the best. But then I'm going to jump back and say, as a common non-fan, is he really the best player? And I can make the decision. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Like Lee Trevino, like you said, reading the book. I used to think Lee Trevino was the greatest golfer of all time because I always read Lee Trevino in here. He wasn't even close to being the greatest golfer of all time.
But you read his
stuff. I had to think, like, writing about this guy, putting him in books, then Lee Trevino must be the greatest.
He must be the greatest. I must be the greatest. All right, man. I'm getting out of here, man. I gotta get my son something to eat. My wife said, "Did you feed the boy?" I'm like, "No, I thought you was gonna feed the boy." It's like we got a pit bull at the house. We gotta feed.
Gotta learn how to feed himself.
Man, these kids walk by the kitchen like it ain't for them. And he walked by the kitchen like, what's to eat? What's to eat? I'm like, it's a freezer. We gotta stop it somewhere. All right, man. What you got going on the way out, man?
Man, what I got going on the way out, man. 3-day weekend, Memorial Day weekend, man. People be safe. I know people are gonna hit the beach and do all of that stuff. Just be careful, be safe. Once again, love on each other. Let's do it. And my wife wants me to say that Southern University's baseball team just won the SWAC championship, so she's happy about that. So I got to put on my Southern gear next week.
24-0 Jackson State.
And they beat a 24-0 Jackson State. So that's what she wants to put out there.
3-run homer in the ninth inning.
So that's how it all works out for me, man. And Miss Mack is on the road to recovery. So
all right, we're gonna keep Miss Mack in our prayers. That 24-0 in HBCU baseball, we got to put that into context. Who did they beat 24 times? Not to put any black eyes on that accomplishment, but I'd like to see who did they beat before I start crowning them champions. They are who we thought they were. All right, y'all. Everything is opening back up. Like I said, the gym opened up this week. I was so happy to hear the screeching of sneakers. I had to FaceTime my son and say, "Look here, son. Your training continues. We will be at the gym every day." And we were at the gym last night from, I believe, 5 o'clock to like 9. My wife was like, "Where are you?" We at the gym getting it in. And he needs it, man. All these kids need to get back active. I'm tired of seeing kids sitting around. It's a new day. Again, I went inside the gym today to go swim without my mask. I forgot my mask, and they told me to go get me a mask. And I was like, oh man, I got too free. I thought I was free, and I forgot my mask. So I went back in my car and got my mask, but it was just like, that's just a sign that things are getting back to normal. And I'm kind of giddy about it, man. Like, I can do some things, you know. And like I said, I'm excited about going back to the movie one day. One day I'm gonna go to the movie. I might see Fast and Furious 9. Is it 9 or 10?
Yep, I'm gonna see it at 9. I gotta see that.
I might go to the theater. I might go to the theater and see that one, man. I don't know how they gonna make John Cena his brother, but we'll see how they write that in. Was that in number 8, or is this the first time they're gonna show John Cena in this movie?
This will be the first time they shows John Cena.
Oh,
I'm still sad about that because there's no more Paul Walker, man.
Yeah, that was tough, man. That's gonna be tough. I wonder if they're gonna have him in there at all, as far as mention or memory. Did they have him die in one of them?
I don't think so. I don't recall.
His last one was 6,
yeah.
right? I think he was in 6. I actually bought that DVD.
Was he?
Yeah, he was in it, and then he passed
6
away.
was in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
The 6 in Brazil, or 6 was yeah.
I think they didn't finish the movie.
5 was in Brazil.
Yeah.
5 was in Brazil. 6 is when they went to
Tokyo, right?
Dubai.
Dubai.
They had the girl walking out the water in the yellow bathing suit, coming out. The girl that played in Game of Thrones, and everybody lost their mind in the movie theater. Like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait for that to come out, man. All right, man. That's our show. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Brandon Henry said, iconic is not a nickname, it's the government. Pele was the best of his era. Nah, he went away with Dom's sister. Okay, they wrote him off that he went away. Okay. Yeah. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings, man. Next time.
Peace and blessings. 1585. Later.